No, I'll
We're
be that.
live.
I'll be
We're
that
live on
young.
both sides. Look at that. Crazy.
It was right at the same time too, which conspiracy? Probably.
Probably.
Yep. Oh man. Good to see you guys. Be alive on a Saturday, you know. Who would have thought?
Hmm.
But life has been crazy lately. I'm getting this shared on Facebook real quick.
Me
Um,
as well.
yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's been a wild one. A lot going on, but we still wanted to go live, as you could probably imagine. And so here we are doing that exact thing. Man, we're on bullet point 11 right now and still writing. Oh, 12.
Oh wow.
Still writing.
It is
Just
really
barely
going at it, man. That's
is going at
crazy.
it. So, you know what? Actually, let me hit this record button and I'll explain what I'm talking about. Nope, countdown.
Oh,
All
this
right, we are this week again talking about the latest in developments in AI with some quick notes before we get into our main topic, which topic this week will be on SEO, search engine optimization.
mm-hmm.
Um, as someone who works in marketing and communication and social media, I've been learning and experimenting with how to make the most of SEO, which is to use certain keywords. First of all, you have to find a topic that people have genuine interest in, but then you have to use the right keywords and phrases to make sure that it will show up in a high position on Google. Because how many of us actually go past the first page of Google to find something? I mean, beyond that, how many of us actually scroll down to find the thing that we're looking for?
True.
It's usually, if it's not in those first three options, we type in a different search.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so search engine optimization is very key to get any traffic to your website, therefore, which brings in revenue because you get ad placement on your website and such and so forth. And so it's very, very important. As we've demonstrated with Bing AI, you can get information, answers, the things that you're looking for without even having to go to that website, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's worth discussing what that means for the future of SEO and the future of revenue based off of websites. Not even just based off websites. Think about like content creators, right?
Mm-hmm.
Content creators that especially are informational with the content that they create. Um, that I think, in my opinion, leaves a big gap for the revenue they make off of ad placement as well. So, some of you may be thinking, well, I don't have a website and I'm not a content creator, so boo hoo. But it's still going to be an interesting thing to look at how this will reshape the internet, and you will notice that. So, we want to talk about that. But first, before we roll the intro, Chat GPT 4 is or I'm sorry, GPT-4 is now live on Chat GPT. Not to make that any more confusing than it has to be. Um, I've been playing around with it, and we used it to formulate the description for this episode. And if you're on the audio version, you'll see that. If you're on the live stream, you will not, because it wrote 5 paragraphs. And we did not need all that. So we trimmed it down. Well, we didn't, we could have trimmed it down, but we compared it to what Bing AI wrote with the same prompt, and they're using the same program.
Mm-hmm.
And Bing AI wrote the thing that you see before you on the episode description, which was much more concise and effective. Now, I also asked ChatGPT version 4 to write talking points for this podcast, and it gave me 12. And I don't think we need that. I
No,
really don't
not at
know
all.
any situation where you'd need 12 different talking points, unless it's like a scholarly debate. Um, but yeah, this is the thing I've noticed. just a quick review on this. Um, it writes way too much. When you give it a prompt, it's like that one person that you can't get to shut up. Like it just goes on forever, man.
Mhm.
And you don't need it to. That's typically the issue I found is just, give me something concise. And the only issue I've had with this version, the previous version would do effectively. If you said to Chat GPT version 3, please tighten this up for me, it would do it. It would
Mhm.
do it well. This does not for some reason, but
Mm.
everything else I've prompted it with, it's very good at. Uh, if not just writing too many words. Um,
Mhm.
but Dennis, and you told me and you shared this with me. There are certain tests of it being connected to the internet.
Yeah, yeah. They're right now. OpenAI is working on opening up APIs that'll allow it to call to certain databases on the internet to gain new information. Because as we've known, still Chat GPT is still only using uh, data from 2021. So that's getting more and more out of date. As
Yep.
time goes on.
Yep.
And so I think, until OpenAI wants to essentially train ChatGPT on or give it access to a new database of, say, like 2022 and later, um, data there, uh, having these little API calls, I think, is a really good way to kind of still control it.
Yeah.
And one thing to note too is that the AI call or the information calls that it's going to use is actually going to be using um, the Bing search engine to get the
Mm,
information from, which is really interesting. So you really see that collaboration between OpenAI and Microsoft really blooming into something really really big. It's really showing that what $1 billion that I think it's technically at this point like over $1 billion that
yeah.
Microsoft invested into OpenAI.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and not just that, right? But it's interesting to me the connecting to the internet. I think it kind of lessens the difference between that and being AI. At least that was my first take on it. But then
Mhm.
what you said is they have set databases that they're connecting it
Yep.
to learn from. So it's not just going to be continually connected to the internet, right?
Yep.
It's
Exactly.
not like you could hop on the Chat GPT and be like, what show times are there for this movie today? Blah blah blah. It won't give you that. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a slightly more toned down when it comes to like information calls. Um of what being AI is, because being AI, we've seen it before when we showed it off few episodes ago, where there are certain things that it'll just start calling automatically, just grabbing, doing an actual
Sure.
like full on search of the web, where this one's going to be specific databases and only specific type of things that it's going to call from, as well as it's not going to be doing it almost all the time. It's going to be doing it only in certain things. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
really cool, an interesting thing, or just really interesting in general. I think the other thing that I also wanted to kind of bring up too, um, that may be one of the big influences on why, of course, OpenAI is doing this, is because um, you know, Bard has been opened up
Yeah.
to a new wait list, and some people already have access to Bard to be able to use it.
Mhm.
So I think, in some ways, it's just, of course, it's an evolution from what OpenAI first started with ChatGPT, but I think it's also, you know, still that little bit of threat of a competition. Um, Not saying that Bard is doing, anything amazing, but it is coming from a company who has been I would say, focused on AI for quite a while. So it's really interesting to kind of see where we're, the type of competition that we're gonna start getting in the next what.
Yeah. Well, and for those not familiar, Bard is the Google version of the search engine AI.
Yep.
So yeah, I was looking and especially at how it wrote our episode descriptions, the difference between the two of Chat GPT 4 and then Bing AI, which uses Chat GPT 4.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like Bing AI, like they're going to differentiate these two, right?
Yep.
Bing AI is going to be more for those quick search results, and Chat GPT is going to be more for the in-depth, um, yeah, just a more in-depth result, I think, is what I've noticed so far. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Um, whereas, like I said, Ming is like for the quick hits.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. And since you have that little slider there to change between the type of styles that it can do, I think that also makes it a little bit more versatile when it comes to Bing AI,
yeah,
to be more specific.
agreed. So, yeah, definitely interesting off the top, but I say, well, we go ahead and get into our main topic. Yeah. Oh man, it's when am I going to trademark this, dude? It's Snuffleupagus season.
Yeah, man. We
Oh
got
man,
that the season for the sneezing. Season for sneezing, man.
it's the reason for the sneezing, man. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. No, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I've had to, take my allergy pills. Happily, my nose hasn't been running, but my eyes have been itchy. Usually, I find that that's, like, the first, thing for me is always my eyes being itchy, um,
Oh
and irritated and stuff, and it could be because of my contacts, just
yeah.
because I mean, I do now have, like, what, 1 a days, I think, so technically, it shouldn't have the same effect as it used to, but,
Mm.
um it's I think it's just something that happens, but yeah, it's always my eyes get itchy.
Yeah, I don't have that. I just end up looking in the mirror and my eyes are red. They're outlined in
Ah.
red. And I just look like I've been crying all day.
You've had a
um,
sad day every day.
and for all of spring, it's really
Yeah,
weird. Yeah, let's go ahead and roll the intro here. Three, two,
let's do it.
one. What's going on, everybody? I'm John,
And I'm Dennison.
and this is the catch up.
Oh, yeah. Man, you having a hard time there.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that was dumb. All right, hold on. Let's get this adjusted here. I gotta get some good face action going.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah. There, that's a good angle right there. All right, here we go.
That is a
Three,
good angle, man.
two, one. Before we jump back into our topic, I want to remind you guys the three best ways to support this show. Oh, there it is. Three. Dangling the three. What could they be? What could they stand for? Denison is helping us find out. Number one. Oh man, there's your one right there. Follow us on Facebook and on YouTube so you can jump on the live stream with us in real time to discuss the topics with us. Leave your comments. We can interact with you as we record slash live stream this episode. It's the best part of our show is that we get to interact with you in real time. Number two. Oh my god, two hats. There we go. Okay. Leave a rating and also a review wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching. It helps us know how we're doing on the show and how we can grow as hosts. And number three. Oh my gosh, it's actually impressive you pulled that off. Um, if you want to support us monetarily, please hit the link below. Go to our shop and buy you some merch and some apparel. It helps us out to be able to continue to host this show on these platforms. And you get some good, clean merch. And you can't beat that. So, all right, let's get into our topic here. right off the top here. I already said the numbers. I don't know why I went back to the numbers there.
You just wanted to
So
see more of my visual and representation.
yeah, right. I actually just wanted more of the interaction, I think. So yeah, I think I want to start off by asking you, how do you think that search powered AI, conversational AI, will
Mhm,
transform search engine optimization in that um you know sites to me like how can I set the foundation with this question a little bit better? I feel like certain websites stand the opportunity with AI powered search engines to grow where they weren't able to before,
mhm.
maybe find success where they didn't have it before. But what's it going to take for that to happen? I still think it's going to take keywords and it's going to take the right phrases, but how does that interact differently with search powered AI, um or AI powered search than just regular search?
You know, that's a great question. Honestly, I kind of feel like the way it'll affect other websites. I think you're right. I think it will. It has the potential to give smaller websites a more traction. But I think one of the biggest problems right now, and I know that's kind of being debated throughout the marketing community as well as just like in general, is how well it'll cite it, right? We finally got a good example of that with Bing, right? Bing AI actually does a pretty great job of citing stuff, and I did find that there were websites that I hadn't thought of that it was pulling data from. But I think one of the biggest things that we might start seeing is some of these websites, especially some of the bigger websites, actually paying to be at the top of the list of what the AI will pull from, right? Because I'm sure I don't know how Microsoft has it tuned currently, but I'm sure it's pulling from the most trusted sites, right? Um, and then if
Sure.
it can't find it, it'll try to delineate from there,
So not
and find.
necessarily is it redefining what is at this point. It's not necessarily redefining what's popular on search engine optimization. It's it's just referring to what's already popular
Yeah,
in SEO. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, no worries. So I mean, yeah, I think keywords are still gonna be a thing. I think there may also be a battle of, like, who's the most right, maybe,
Mhm.
depending on how they tune the AI.
Sure.
I think it may yeah, I think some of the search engine optimization may be on just true fact checking, right? Because
Mhm.
if we're tuning these AI to especially since it's doing a search for us, right? And it's supposed to give you an exact answer rather than kind of what we have been getting with Google, which, if you have searched on Google really in the last, I don't know, 3 months or so, if you've noticed, at least I know I've noticed, it's giving me far more, it feels like meaningful answers than it did before, where I got used to the shuffle of like, let me just go ahead and go through some stuff. But if it's something that it can relatively accurately grab from, it's going to plop that up there. And so I feel like those keywords will help, and the most right answer, if that makes any sense. Most right, as in like the most right that most users will actually grab onto. I think that's going to be our next big thing that it's going to start
Yeah.
trying to do. Like if
Okay.
people say consistently give feedback on this one answer, like what's the only oldest animal that we've ever discovered or something similar to that, and they consistently say it's, I don't know, the turtle or something like
Yeah.
that. I don't even know if that's true, but, if people consistently say it's the turtle, then I feel like the AI is gonna say, "Okay, well, then this must be the most correct answer here."
Yeah.
And then based on some of the other sources that I have, this is the correct answer, so it's going to give that answer as well as the source who pushes out that information. Uh, I think it'll give that at a higher rate than it would any other think.
So does it stand to potentially share incorrect information if it's perpetuated enough on the internet, say like conspiracy theories and whatnot? I think that maybe that's not the best example because I think every search engine has great filters set in place to not necessarily perpetuate conspiracy theories,
Yeah.
but in the effort of an example, something like that, does is that a potential or a possible concern for um this kind of technologies?
Uh, I th- I think so. I think it does have that potential. Um, because yeah, I mean it's like anything else. There's a potential of it being abused by essentially having um because I can even see it as like someone uses a bot, right? Creates a bot, tons of bot accounts, and flood this AI. Now, of course, this is all off of speculation, right? I don't know exactly how they have being AI tuned or how they're going to tune it or how they're continuously changing it and tuning it because we've
Sure.
already seen before it continues to grow and change and become more and more mature. Um, but there is that potential of foul play where someone says, "Well, I want my search result or I want my website to be at the top, so I'm going to flood this AI with asking these particular questions and waiting for it to get me the website that I want, which is my website, and
Yeah.
then saying that that is the most correct answer, and then saying that for all of your account or for all of your fake accounts or whatever like
Yeah.
that."
Sure.
And I think maybe that's when you have that cross referencing that the AI should do. Um, that I think cross referencing again, it all depends on trusted sites, right? Because I would imagine the only way for it to depict or understand that this is the correct answer is for it to have gotten that information from trusted sites that are verified to be correct.
Yeah.
Um, So it's a hard answer to or a hard question to answer, but I
Yeah.
do feel like there is always that potential of um, the spread of misinformation. It just depends on how quickly a company can pivot to um, drastically slow that down.
Sure. Well, kind of more back on the topic here. Um, Thinking of ways to adapt uh websites, your writing, blogs, things like that, for SEO. And this would even transition for things like our podcast. Again, for content creation, there is a level of search engine optimization that goes into what we write in these episode descriptions because certain searches on Facebook and actually, I will say Facebook's search engine is actually really good.
Mm,
Um, and it search for a topic like say somebody types in Bing AI. Our episode about Bing AI may pop up on their search, on their results.
mhm,
Um, so in the effort to make that, what would we see differently um moving forward to get your results on AI powered search? Here's a couple ideas I have. One, question based content, right? Because here's why that works. Typically what you're typing in to these AIs is how do you blah blah blah, right? So if you have something written on your page where it's like question one, how do I, and it's that exact question, then you answer it,
mhm,
it's more, you're getting double the hits because the AI is going to find the question that the user just typed in, and then it's also going to find the answer content that is related to that question.
mhm,
Um, so I think you're going to see a lot more question and answer kind of stuff, which is I think more palatable anyway. Um, to me, I think that works for a lot of people just reading Q&A and
mhm,
such and so forth. Um, but of course, that won't work for everyone. I mean, of I guess if it's a service or if it's a product, that can work absolutely. But if it's entertainment based or things like that, that's not going to work. Um, I don't know if this would be the case, but for more content based things, I think that probably shorter snippets, kind of like what we see with TikTok,
Mhm.
YouTube shorts, all that kind of stuff, where people take long form content and just make a shorter cut of it,
Mhm.
especially if there are captions that are auto generated or there's a transcript available in some place. That would probably help with the search engine optimization um, as well. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I mean, I think you're right. I think, all of that will help. Honestly, I think for the next year, maybe year and a half, we're kinda gonna be in the wild, wild west when it comes to that,
Mm,
because at least from what I've understood or even what I've seen just from, like, testing and playing around with Bing AI and even ChatGPT is that, um, it's consistently changing, right?
mm,
It's consistently changing and growing, and it's growing and it's such in a much faster rate than what most search engines grew at, right?
yeah,
Because I think, as Google slowly evolved their search engine, I'm just using Google as an example, but there's tons of them. But I feel like as they've evolved their search engine, it's gotten better, but it's not fast. It's not a fast thing. It's small little updates to make a small change, right? Or small little updates to maybe query this thing differently or query that thing differently or something similar to that. Whole topics and such.
mhm,
Um, where this is moving at an extremely quick rate, right? Like the last time that we spoke about this and we even showed it off, Being AI was um I think actually, yeah, when I first started using Bing AI, it was cut down from like I think 50 at the time to 10, right? Of how many conversational things that you could have. And then they changed that from 10 to 8. And then they changed that again relatively recently to from 8 to 15.
mm,
So and of course, this is how much the AI is going to have a conversation thread, how far down it's going to be in the conversation thread. So it may not exactly pertain exactly to the search portion, but it does in the aspect of how quickly and how um much Microsoft is consistently changing. And so I don't feel like we're going to get a true solidified example of what a good search optimization um or even like chatbot optimization, right?
right.
Search optimization until really these AI models get super locked in.
Yeah.
And if the competition is going to be anything like how it is right now, right? Uh, we There's also the possibility of you having to essentially optimize your website for all different types of search bots, right? Because right now we have depending on how things go, right, you have at least 3 chat, um, search options in some
Mm,
ways, right?
yeah.
ChatGPT, which is searching off of an older database, but it is still gleaming a pretty decent amount of information, especially if it's stuff that's basic and is always there.
Sure.
You have Bing AI, which is built on top of or I should say GPT-4, but then also Google's search engine and their search algorithm, and then or not Google, sorry, gosh darn, Microsoft's
Right. Right.
search
Yes.
algorithm
Definitely.
for being AI. I do apologize for that. But then you also have Bard, which is Google's new AI that they are working on, and um, that will most likely be grabbing at its more mature state. Will probably be grabbing from the internet as well and being integrated directly into their search.
Mm,
So and then that's a whole nother algorithm in itself. And I bet you that they're all going to use different protocols when it comes to searching things.
Yeah.
So I do believe that we are going to get to a point to where, you know, for a while there's not going to be a really good, essentially you're just going to have to focus on one AI chat or one AI search engine um, to host to essentially form your website around to be to have a higher uh, read count. But I mean, that's the other thing that I just thought of is that you are grabbing, you're hoping that these AI are going to grab the information from your website and plop it out right as an answer. But
Mhm.
we don't know how that's going to affect the traffic for that, right?
Yeah.
Is the search is the say if Bing AI, right? If Bing AI is finding information from your stuff, does that count as a person visiting your website or does it not?
Right. Exactly. And
So
that's
that's a big thing too.
it is. And that's exactly what I wanted to go focus on next
Mhm.
is how that works. Does it um I guess physically visit the website to grab that information in a lightning pace? Just citing it like you were mentioning, count as a link to it,
Mhm.
I think the problem with that is, in the eyes of advertisers, at the end of the day, that doesn't matter. What I mean? Because you're not actually visiting the website. I mean, you can. Of course you can. We've seen this with Bing AI. When they cite the sources, you can click on the citation and it'll take you to that website. So you can, but you don't necessarily have to. And I would probably hesitate to say that 80% of people won't, because why would you? So what that means for those businesses who rely on that, marketers who rely on that, I think it is what you were mentioning too about AI driven SEO, kind of stuff. I think that almost you have to have one AI interacting with another AI,
Mhm.
to make sure that you make the most of that connection. For example, yeah, and this is kind of what you're saying too, but I think it would be beneficial if you want to rank highly on Bing. Well, knowing that we use this Chat GPT, you could use Chat GPT to formulate the SEO keywords and such on your website,
Mhm.
because those are it's likely to interact. Now, again, referencing what you were saying, it's all developing so quickly. It will be hard to keep up with this kind of thing. You almost want to get to a point where the AI is built in as a plugin and it's constantly updating, you know,
Yep.
um, with your permission, of course, because changing of keywords and things like that can really mess up the structure of your website if you're not careful. But
Well, yeah.
but yeah, I think yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of unanswered questions because you're right. We do have a ways to go before the AI starts restructuring um how web searches are done. It's still in the early stages of it. Being that's not available to everyone right now, it's beta testing and all that. But
Mhm.
yeah, with everything, you gotta have. I don't know. To me, I think is just a step forward yet again of content marketing. Content marketing has been growing the
Mhm.
past 10 years, and it is only going to get more and more important, I feel like, because that is what's going to circumvent AI, preventing you conversion rates, preventing, visiting your website, whatever. The thing that will change that is content marketing. So you have to be likable, you have to deliver valuable content, valuable um, products,
Mhm.
and then on top of that, be a good content creator. I think those are the things, and that's kind of a whole um, separate podcast. What makes a good content marketer? But that to me is really the big thing. And on top of that, I don't yet know how this shifts advertising dynamics. And I did, this was really kind of um the last question I have on this topic for you. But do you foresee advertisers shifting, which I know you mentioned this in regard to Chat GPT a few months ago or about a month ago. Maybe advertisers shift from putting ads on websites, which could really hurt those businesses as far as revenue goes.
Mhm.
And then instead they put it on the AI powered search engine like being AI.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think there is that possibility.
Mm,
Um, I think the only issue with it is that it does muddy the waters when it comes to what people are coming to need or really coming to expect from these AI, right? If you have an AI that is giving you a direct answer, exactly what you need, um, and then you start throwing advertisements in that, through the search, which or through the answer that is given, it becomes one of those where no one wants to use it anymore. Now, of course, right, as human nature, we've already found and we've already seen, right, that and I say this because we've already seen it with Google, right? No one likes seeing the ads or the sponsored spots that are like usually the top 3 results. And sometimes
yeah,
they're not even like
super
relevant to the
relevant.
question that you
Yeah.
asked,
Hmm.
but you get them anyway. And so it could be something similar to that, but I feel like one of the big things on why it's so refreshing with these AI chatbots is that you aren't getting any of that. You're getting rid of all of the fluff. You're getting rid of all of the advertisement. And I feel like that would become a big turnoff to where people would just go back to doing regular searches like they did before,
Yeah.
unless it gets to a point to where it's just that much of a need.
Mm,
Um, I don't know. That's a really, really hard question to answer. I can
yeah.
see though an opportunity to where maybe advertisers or maybe this would be, I feel like almost like a dystopia type of deal, but I can also see it to where um the advertise the essentially say like Microsoft for Bing AI would have
Yeah.
to pay some of these advertisers
Mm,
um to, or no, they just create a paid service like we kind of already started to see with Bing, or not Bing, but Chat GPT, so that way um, you don't get your ads in there at all, right? It's
yeah.
similar to kind of like one of the biggest things that we've already heard, about in general when it comes to stuff. Anything that's free, at least for internet wise, is that there is still a transaction going on. It's just your data that's being uh,
That's
grabbed
a transaction.
um, rather than you actually paying for a service. So I
Yeah.
can see it to where you split up your AI, right? Um, to where you have Being AI, which is the regular Being AI, which is fine, and sometimes it'll give you like ads thrown in every once in a while, kind of like how you're watching a YouTube video.
Mm,
But then, which would be really annoying, but I can see it something like that. Maybe after you've hit your limit of like chat conversation thread, it pops in uh, an ad, or whenever you hit your refresh button, it pops in an ad, which is really annoying, but it is something that's kind of like an in betweener. Um, and then you have like, I don't know, Bing Premium or something like that,
mm,
where you pay for like $10 a month and you pay for a service that is devoid of ads at all, right? Like it's similar to for me, like right, I pay YouTube Premium, pay for YouTube Premium because I don't like ads in my YouTube and I watch a lot of YouTube. So I could easily see it being something similar to that, just with the chat bots.
Sure.
Um, but I think only time will tell. I think for sure if they do it too early, then people are going to easily just jump back to what they know uh, and deal with the other hurdles because it's you don't have to pay or you don't have to worry about any of that.
Right. Yeah.
Um, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with all that. And I know that's kind of the last things people want to hear are more content creators and more advertising. It'll be interesting to see where this all goes. I think we had a good discussion on it. Real quick, I wanted to get the hot takes, quick hot takes on the TikTok debacle, the debate with Congress. Um, yeah, what do you think, man?
It's interesting. Honestly, I think my quickest hot take is the out of touch politicians that we have currently.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, of course, right? I think we've even talked about this earlier or on the podcast at some point, but it's almost impossible for you to have, expert level knowledge on everything that you're covering or everything that you're writing bills on and stuff like that. That's
Right,
the reason why you have assistants to help you with that, to help write out talking points for you, to help you kind of get up to speed with stuff. But I do feel like this is a trial, or this is at least a case that showcases just the out of touchness of the people that we have as our representatives. And I think it's a really bad look on us as well as a really bad look on our own politicians. Um, do I think anything's gonna come really out of this? I don't feel like it. I feel like all right now this is just a I don't know, a song and dance kinda deal, right?
oh, for
I
sure.
think they're pushing out their concerns, of course, but they're not really there's nothing really gonna come out of this, um, because I think the solutions that are being proposed on both sides aren't really helpful for either, um, the consumers or the company itself, so
Yeah.
what about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think actually what the scariest part is we see time and time again how little our legislators know about technology. We've seen it multiple times with social media, but we've seen it with a number of other ways too. And as technology, cryptocurrency is another one. As we see technology continue to develop at a rapid rate, their knowledge continues to still be stuck in the 90s and mid 2000s. Um, and I think that's a problem because I think there are a lot of things with technology, with social media that probably should be legislated to some degree.
Mhm.
Um, but I think that, just again, the out of touchness, I think it's more of a risk than TikTok itself could ever be.
Yeah.
Um, and I also agree that it is a charade because none of this is actually about privacy concerns. Because if that were true, we would have done what we needed to with Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. But we don't care. We don't care because chances are the US government has a partnership with those social media entities to mine that data for their own usage to monitor us
Mhm.
for in the name of national security. Um, and because it's not a US based company that's taking that and keeping that data, but rather a Chinese based company, that's where the problem is. It's nothing to do with the data and the security and all that. And I think that guy, that representative of TikTok, said that without saying that. I think
Yeah.
that his basic underlying theme is that they're not doing anything that the other social media companies don't, you know?
Yep.
And yeah, I know we've seen that viral video of that guy saying, "Does TikTok," or that senator saying, "Does TikTok connect to your Wi-Fi?"
Yeah.
And it's like, of course it connects to your Wi-Fi. Like
Yeah.
every application does if you're connected to the internet. It's yeah, the whole thing was absurd. But um, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if anything is going to come from. To tell the truth, I could see it either way. I could see them attempting to ban or limit TikTok in some way, or I could see it not happening and rather they just use it as a campaign um, hot button item.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rather,
No, I can see that as well.
yeah, it just becomes kind of a. I'm blanking on the phrase right now, but just something to again um make China look like the enemy,
Yeah. Yeah,
as
like a
every
straw man argument,
yeah,
to say
yeah,
like,
yeah,
"Oh, this
exactly.
is the reason why China's a bad person," when,
Yeah.
it's like yeah. I
Again,
do or sorry, go ahead.
no, again, I would not care if TikTok burns to the ground. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the only thing that I will say is that I don't like the possibility of TikTok going away because I do feel like it has led to some innovations in the space.
Mm,
Um, when it comes to like how content is created and giving other people other avenues to express themselves. So I do like that. I think it has been beneficial in that. And not saying that it doesn't have its own faults. I guess one thing is that I don't want it to kind of turn into kind of like what happened with Huawei. If
oh, yeah.
any of you guys remember what happened there, which was that nice big all out ban. Now, of course, Huawei was a very big hardware company, and well, hardware and software, I guess, technically, but much more hardware. Um, and I felt like in some ways it kind of ended up stifling some of the innovations, especially in the mobile market, as well as the 5G market, because they were one of the biggest 5G, uh, gosh darn, manufacturers of like the equipment.
Right.
Um, and so I do feel like that might have slowed down some of our pace when it
Mm,
came to 5G networks and all sorts of other stuff like that. So um, I guess I just really want it to be if there is some sort of a ban or something similar to that. It's not on that same level.
yeah. Agreed. Well, I think we had a good discussion on all of this. I'm glad that we were able to have it. Thank you guys for joining us on the live stream and on the recorded version as well. Remember, leave a rating and review and subscribe if you like us. And if you want to support the show, check out our shop and grab you some good, clean merch. And we will, yeah, well, actually, let me do it right. Let me do it for the one time. Thank you so much for catching up with us, and we'll catch up with you next week.